Welcome to Salsido Paranormal. I'm your host, James Salsido, and tonight I'm continuing my reading and review of The Book of the Damned by Charles Fort. As always, you can find all episodes of the show along with links to social media, ways to listen, and ways to support the show, including the Patreon page and the merchandise store, over at the website, and that is salsidoparanormal.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.com. Support is never expected, but always appreciated, as there are expenses in making these shows. Please also check out the links to friends of the show in every episode description. That would be Jen, the Arcane Observer, who has her own channel and is the co-host of this show, as well as Michael Strange, host of Trouble Minds Radio, as well as the creator of the Trouble Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting, where you can hear my show and many other amazing shows over there 24/7. So, excuse me, a few things to note as we get started with this review here. Well, as we continue with this review, things I always like to mention. Hello, everyone there. I see you all in the chat. Thank you for being here. First of all, the ideas and thoughts and the words that I'm reading here are from Charles Fort, so they may not we may not agree with all of them, all the ideas and thoughts and everything. So, just a disclaimer: these are not my own thoughts or those of anyone else affiliated with the show, and so we may not agree with them at all times. So, also, this is an older book, so there may be some things that are discussed as being mysterious or unexplained that have been researched and possibly explained by science since the book came out. And this book is almost 100 years old. So, and of course, the last thing is I apologize in advance for any mispronunciations of words and or names, as some are in different languages and words are hard in general. So, I'm going to make mistakes, and I apologize for that. And yeah, I think that covers everything. So let's get back to the material here. And go from there. Once I find my spot again. Okay. So continuing on, it says, in the London Times, March 10th, 1859, Vicar Griffith writes an account. The roofs of some houses were covered with them, and he's talking about fish in here. In this letter, it is said that the largest fishes were 5 inches long, and that these did not survive the fall. Report of the British Association, 1859-158. In quotation marks, the evidence of the fall of fish on this occasion was very conclusive. A specimen of the fish was exhibited and was found to be the Gastrostis lyris. This is the stickleback, which is a type of fish that we referred to in previous shows here from the book here. Altogether, I think we have not a sense of total perdition when we're damned with the explanation that someone soused someone else with a pail full of water in which were thousands of fishes 4 or 5 inches long, some of which covered roofs of houses, and some of which remained 10 minutes in the air. By way of contrast, we offer our own acceptance that the bottom of a supergeographical pond had dropped out. I have a great many notes upon the fall of fishes, despite the difficulty these records have in getting themselves published. But I pick out the instances that especially relate to our super geographical acceptances, or to the principles of super geography, or data of things that have been in the air longer than acceptably could a whirlwind carry them, that have fallen with a distribution narrower than is attributable to a whirlwind, that have fallen for a considerable length of time upon the same narrow area of land. These three factors indicate somewhere not far aloft a region of inertness to this earth, or to this earth's gravitation. Of course, however, a region that, by the flux and variation of all things, must at times be susceptible, but afterward our heresy will bifurcate. Fifeshire, Scotland. Oh, I skipped a line. Let me go back a line here. Meerut, Meerut, India, July 1824. Parentheses, living age 52-186, close parentheses. Fifeshire, Scotland, summer of 1824, in parentheses, Wernerian National Historical Society, transcriptions, 5-575. Moradabad, India, July 1826, in parentheses, living age 52-186, close parentheses. Rossshire, Scotland, 1828, parentheses, living age 52-186, parentheses. And I'm guessing here he's just listing off the number of places and times that there was these falls of fish. Moradabad, India, July 20th, 1829. Another publication here that I'm not sure of, 16-764, parentheses. Perthshire, Scotland, in parentheses, living age 52-186, close parentheses. Argyllshire, Scotland, 1830. March 9th, 1830. In parentheses, Recreative Science, 3-339, parentheses. Feridpoor, Feridpoor, India, February 19th, 1830. Parentheses, Journal of Asiatic Society of Bengal, 2-650, close parentheses. A psychotropism that arises here, disregarding serial significance, or mechanical, unintelligent, repulsive reflex, is that the fishes of India did not fall from the sky, that they were found upon the ground after torrential rains, because streams had overflowed and had then receded. In the region of inertness that we think we can conceive of, or a zone that is to this Earth's gravitation very much like the neutral zone of a magnet attraction, we accept that there are bodies of water and also clear spaces, bottoms of ponds dropping out, very interesting ponds, having no earth at bottom, vast drops of water afloat in what is called space, fishes, and deluges of water falling, but also other areas in which fishes, however they got there, a matter that we'll consider, remain and dry or even putrefy, then sometimes falling by atmospheric dislodgement. After a tremendous deluge of rain, one of the heaviest falls on record, in parentheses, all the year round, 8-255, close parentheses, at Rajkot, India, excuse me, July 25th, 1850, the ground was found literally covered with fishes. The word found is agreeable to the repulsions of the conventionalists and their concept of an overflowing stream. But according to Dr. Buist, Buist, some of these fishes were found on the tops of haystacks. That's amazing. So you have this idea that maybe things sort of just came out from the streams and then were left there by the water once they receded, but then you have fish on haystacks. That's a pretty hard to explain that. Feral, in quotation marks, a popular treatise, page 414, close parentheses, tells of a fall of living fishes, some of them having been placed in a tank where they survived, that occurred in India, about 20 miles south of Calcutta, September 20th, 1839. A witness of this fall says, in quotation marks, the most strange thing which ever struck me was that the fish did not fall helter-skelter, or here and there, but they fell in a straight line, not more than a cubit in breadth. In quotation marks, see Living Age 52-186. American Journal of Science 1-32-199. That according to testimony taken before a magistrate, a fall occurred February 19th, 1830, near Furidpur, India, I'm probably saying that wrong, of many fishes of various sizes, some whole and fresh, and others mutilated and putrefying. A reflex to those who would say that in the climate of India, it would not take long for fishes to putrefy is that high in the air, the climate of India is not torrid. Another peculiarity of this fall is that some of the fishes were much larger than others, or to those who hold out for segregation in a whirlwind, or that objects, say, twice as heavy as others would be separated from the lighter. We point out that some of these fishes were twice as heavy as others. In the Journal of the Asiatic Society of Bengal, 2-650, the depositions of witnesses are given, in quotation marks. Some of the fish were fresh, but others were rotten and without heads. In close quotations. Another one here, in quotation marks. Among the number which I got, 5 were fresh, and the rest stinking and headless, in quotation marks. They remind us of His Grace's observation of some pages back. According to Dr. Bust, some of these fishes weighed 1.5 pounds each, and others 3 pounds. A fall of fishes at Futterpore, India, May 16th, 1833, quotation marks. They were all dead and dry, in quotation marks. Parentheses, Dr. Bust, living age 52-186, close parentheses. India is far away. About 1830 was long ago. Nature, September 19th, 1918-46. A correspondent writes from the Dove Marine Laboratory, Cuttercoats, England, that at Hindon, a suburb of Sunderland, August 24th, 1918, hundreds of small fishes, identified as sand eels, had fallen. Again, the small area, about 60 by 30 yards. The fall occurred during a heavy rain that was accompanied by thunder, or indications of disturbance aloft, but by no visible lightning. The sea is close to Hindon, but if you try to think of these fishes having described a trajectory in a whirlwind from the ocean, consider this remarkable datum, that according to witnesses, the fall upon this small area occupied 10 minutes. I cannot think of a clearer indication of a direct fall from a stationary source. And, in quotation marks, the fish were all dead, and indeed stiff and hard, when picked up immediately after the occurrence, in quotation marks. By all of which I mean that we have only begun to pile up our data of things that fall from a stationary source overhead. We'll have to take up the subject from many approaches before our acceptance, which seems quite as rigorously arrived at as ever has been a belief, can emerge from the accursed spot. Okay. I don't know how much the horse and the barn will help us to emerge, but if ever anything did go up from this earth's surface and stay up, those damned things may have. Monthly Weather Review, May 1878. In a tornado in Wisconsin, July 23rd, 1878, in quotation marks, a barn and a horse were carried completely away, and neither horse nor barn, nor any portion of either have since been found, in quotation marks. After that, which would be a little strong were it not for a steady improvement in our digestions that I note as we go along, there is little of the bizarre or the inassimilable, that's quite the word, in the turtle that hovered 6 months or so over a small town in Mississippi. Monthly Weather Review, May 1894. That May 11th, 1894, at Vicksburg, if I could talk, Mississippi. MISS dot, so probably Mississippi. Fell a small piece of alabaster that at Bovina, 8 miles from Vicksburg, fell a gopher turtle. They fell in a hailstorm. This item was widely copied, at the time. For instance, Nature, one of the volumes of 1894, page 430, and Journal of the Royal Meteorological Society, 20-273, as to discussion, not a word, or science in its continuity with Presbyterianism, data like this are damned at birth. The Weather Review does sprinkle or baptize or attempt to save this infant, but in all the meteorological literature that I have gone through after that date, not a word, except mentioned once or twice. The editor of the review says, in quotation marks, an examination of the weather map shows that these hailstorms occur on the south side of a region of cold northerly winds, and were but a small part of a series of similar storms. Apparently, some special local whirls or gusts carried heavy objects from this Earth's surface up to the cloud regions. Of all incredibilities that we have to choose from, I give first place to a notion of a whirlwind pouncing upon a region and scrupulously selecting a turtle and a piece of alabaster. This time, the other mechanical thing, in quotation marks, there in the first place, quotation marks, cannot rise in response to its stimulus. It is resisted in that these objects were coated with ice. Month of May in a southern state. If a whirlwind at all, there must have been very limited selection. There is no record of the fall of other objects, but there is no attempt in the review to specify a whirlwind. So that's where we'll leave that the reading for now. We continue to read about more of these falls and just all over the place, and of fish and stones, and I find it amazing that a whole barn and a horse were lifted up. But also, I mean, we've all heard of just terrible weather doing wild things. But we'll continue this next time. Thank you all for listening, and I'll talk to you all in thank you for listening to Salsido Paranormal, and I will talk to you all next time. Words are hard. Take care.